Hello, and welcome to the series KAAI Women Around the World, a show where we interview our KAAI community to see how they organize their lives. Our KAAI microphone traveled all over the world to get all the ins and outs about their daily routines. Are you traveling with us?
Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of our second KAAI Women Around the World podcast season. For this season, we packed the KAAI Mac and sent it to different corners around the world to get to know more about the ins and outs of the daily routines of our KAAI women.
For this episode, the mic stayed within our Belgian borders and traveled to Lies Eeckman in Brussels. Lies lives 300 meters away from the international known festival site Werchter. She's the mom of 5 kids, which learned her how to multitask at a young age. Lies is the managing director of Polestar Belgium. Throughout her life, she has continuously sought a good balance between work and her private life. We're very excited to discover more about your daily routine and life hacks. Welcome, Lies.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you, welcome Lies. Very excited to have you in our podcast series.
Lies, to start off things, can you tell us a bit more about who you are and what you do in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you already explained that I'm the managing director for Polestar, which is actually a sister company of Volvo. So we are building electric performance cars. Besides being a managing director, I'm also a busy mom. I have 5 kids. Now, to specify, 2 of them are biologically mine, so the youngest one. And so they are in age brackets between 9 and 20 years old. So really through the different generations. So you can imagine that there is always quite a good vibe.
Quite a lot of life at home.
Yeah, indeed. And also by the youngest one, which is our dog. It's a Shiba Inu. And I must admit that her character traits are quite comparable to some of mine. She's really independent. She knows what she wants, and especially what she doesn't want. And she's very determined when she really wants something. But she's cute at the same time. That aside, no, all jokes aside, I think what is important for me is that I'm very passionate. I live my life to the fullest in everything I do. I do not like my job. I love my job. I do not like my kids and family. I love them. And I really spend or try to spend as much time as possible with them. I'm a true optimist. For me, there are no problems. There are only opportunities. I love anticipating on things, and that's also really typical something for me. I'm really a true planner, and I'm already a couple of steps ahead in my mind, which might give sometimes the impression that I could be impatient from time to time. So I like fast paced things. And last but not least, I'm very I like inspiring people to really get the best out of everybody in order to achieve goals together. So I'm really determined as my dog and really wanting to achieve the things that we have agreed upon. So
funny.
That's a bit in a nutshell who I am.
Yeah, it's funny how you compare it with your dog. Really great. I think it's also your favorite dog.
It is. I'm still dreaming about it. So.
Okay, great. Yeah, but you know, what I like about dogs is the fact that they don't pretend. So they are authentic. When she's happy, you see it. When she's not happy, you also see it.
I think especially with the Shiba Inu, I think it's a race that is known for this kind of character.
Yeah. I don't want to lose my energy on pretending. For me, authenticity is truly key.
Okay, so as you know, in this podcast, we discuss about how KAAI women organize their life. So in the hope to learn from each other and also inspire each other. I think it's really interesting to have 5 kids and a dog and a man and such a busy job. So we're very curious, how do you do that? And what is a typical day for you? How do you start your day? How does a day looks like for you?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a typical day because often, we need to be agile and flexible. So often a lot of unpredictable things can happen. but there is one routine, is that we start each morning with having breakfast with the whole family. So we get up earlier to have breakfast all together. And in this way, we are fully energized to hit the day. For the rest, for me, as I said, I'm a planner. I like to know things and to plan things up front. So for me, my agenda is key. And that doesn't mean, on contrary, that I'm not flexible. I always book also some focus moments in. But for me, it's about priority management, actually. I think in life, is it in personal life or in business life, it's always really important what are your urgencies and what are your priorities, and then you just plan accordingly. And for me, what has been a mantra, let's say, for me over the years, is that a good strategy helps you to say no to a great idea. And that's always what I bear in my mind, is that I know where I'm heading towards, and that's the end goal. And how you get there, you're flexible, but it helps you to stay on track and to stay focused in the things you need to prioritize or you should prioritize.
Okay, so you have your breakfast together, and then how do they go? They go to school, or how you drive by car to your office? How is the day afterwards?
Well, I think as I said, it depends from day to day. I do not have a fixed routine. I have fixed appointments every week, yeah, so recurring meetings. Most of the time, I work from home on Mondays and on Wednesdays. On Mondays, because it's really a day packed back to back with meetings, and then I do not have time neither, to interact with people at the office. So there is little to no added value, let's say, to come to the office. On Wednesday, it's a bit the same thing. I do have some more focus time. And in Belgium, the kids only have half a day school on Wednesdays. And then we have lunch together with the family on Wednesday during lunchtime. And then I just pick up the work again.
That's already a great balance,
Yeah.
that you can organize that on Wednesday. So I hear you really have you have a lot of attention also for the children, but like in the evening, because we compare a little bit in the countries how it is organized, how it is in Belgium, because the school is also finished at 4 o'clock, and so what happens then? You have some help, or you?
Yeah, for me, it's of course impossible. As I say, I know when my day starts. I do not know when my day ends. One thing that I really aim for is that I want to put my little daughter, she's 9 years old, into bed myself. And then I read a book. For us, it's truly quality time to have some good discussions, and to read a story, to have some small chit chats before she goes to sleep. I must say that I really strive for it to do that minimum 4 times per week. So actually, I'm pretty good at it, managing myself around. Okay, it's not always when I need to go abroad. For example, next week I'm whole the week in Gothenburg. It won't work, but okay, she knows it, and she knows what to expect from me, let's say. For me, the key is to ask for help, and we can elaborate more on it also later on. But for me, it's daring to ask help. So I have a friend that is not working anymore, and she takes care also of the kids, like 2 days a week. I do one evening, my husband does one evening, and then we have the grandparents, luckily, that also have the Wednesday that take care of after the kids. And that makes, we have a very good planning that we know upfront, which gives me then the flexibility, let's say, in my job, to finish late when it's needed, or to interrupt my work, let's say, to put Anna to bed.
Well, that's great. Also, yeah, of course, in Belgium, we hear it often that grandparents often step in. That you don't hear in every country, yeah, because in Belgium, most of the families, they live close to their parents or their parents-in-law to get this help. So that is, of course, I think something typical Belgium. But you say, for example, you work for a Swedish company, so you go next week. Is there a difference between how your colleagues in Sweden are organized and you? Do you see differences, how the way they work or how they organize it, how they balance life with family and work?
Well, I think Swedish companies in general, they are really known to be really human centric and to adapt themselves to their people, let's say. It's really part of their culture way more than in Belgium. I think the big advantage or the big added value that we have had over the past years has been COVID. When I say that there aren't any problems, there are only opportunities. I think what COVID has brought us is flexibility and is really putting the attention that you can work in different ways, still efficient and effectively together. And that's what we are really anchoring, let's say, also in our organization is that flexibility. Our culture within Polestar is built upon trust. It's all about accountability. It's all about responsibility, and we're not counting the hours. We have a lot of teams meetings. So our guidance is that you come to the office twice a week, because of course it's important when you need to work on a project, when it's really about collaboration, you need to do some sparring around ideas, for example. Okay, then a face-to-face meeting is really crucial. But on other sides, when I'm on Monday back to back in meetings with my HQ, the added value of coming to the office and spending like 1 hour at least in my car in traffic jam, for me, it's just a waste of time. And I think that mindset and that philosophy really has been implemented only in our lives thanks to COVID. So never waste a good crisis. And I think more and more that has become, let's say, and I hope for a lot of companies, truly common practice. So a good interaction, really depending on the needs of the person or the needs of the meeting that you need to have.
Yeah, that's true.
Lies, I think you just said that, organizing wise, you're quite well organized with your family life and with your work life. You have a lot of friends and family, I think, that also help you with planning your schedules. Now, I think even if you have like 5 kids and a dog, it's not always that easy.
So, and a husband,
and a husband as well, which also has to be managed. I can get that. So, what is your biggest challenge or hurdles when it comes to organizing this? I bet it cannot always go as planned, So.
I must say that and it's probably then because I'm an optimist. I don't struggle with it. It really as a natural flow, I would say, because the expectations are clear, the plan is clear. I know what I can expect from my best friends, from my husband, from my parents-in-law, to take care of after the kids, and it gives me also peace of mind. I think most often everybody's talking about work-life balance and how to find that right balance between work and family. And actually, I must admit that I'm not such a big fan of that terminology. Actually, I was intrigued when I read an article, I think it was last year, from Petra de Roos. She's the managing director from a creative agency called LDV here in Belgium. And she was really discussing that topic of work-life balance. Because, I love my job and I love my family and my kids. And when you put these two next to each other, it feels like they are competing with one another. Whilst for me, they are both really important. So for me, it's more striving towards a life balance, and that was the article was about. It's about life balance, and for me, what is way more important, instead of counting the hours, as a mindset, or putting some numbers on a page, like, okay, how many times did I put Anna to this week? I'm not occupied with that at all. I'm not perfect, far from perfect, but I'm not expecting that from myself neither. So it's more to do the things, to do the things with the best intentions. And I think balance is more about detecting the needs and taking the time to detect the needs of one another. For example, the needs of Anna, my youngest daughter, for what's important for her is completely different from my teenager son. Detecting the needs from my colleagues, from my peers, from my employees, and spending time with them to truly understand how I can support them, how I can help them so that they can do their job in a better way. That's way more valuable than always to strive for that perfect work-life balance. For me, it's about detecting the needs of one another, but also from yourself. And
it's nice that you really look to the individuals itself to see what they need, and that you try to find a balance depending on really each of them, rather than saying, okay, I allocate 50% of my time to my family life, 50% of my time to work life, because that's not the word work-life balance anymore. No. I think it is more personal and it goes deeper.
That's right. Life balance is really good. That's a good takeaway. Life balance. I think that's really
for
great.
me, what is important is to be in the moment. When I'm at work, I'm fully focused on my job. When I'm at home, I'm fully focused on my family. And that's way more important. And when I say my worlds blend in each other, I'm the same person at Polestar than I am at home. I am not wearing a working mask. So I do not need to spend or lose energy on pretending that I'm somebody who I'm not.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep the energy levels high, that you can just, be yourself instead of pretending. I think that's key.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's key too.
Now,
and living in the moment. I think that's really important.
Lies, do you also have any tech tools or applications, or maybe housekeeping that helps you with organizing and with managing your busy schedule?
I have, of course, my my agenda, and as I said, I always note down also in my notebook, okay, what are my priorities, how urgent are they, and I plan accordingly. So and I only have one agenda. I have a business agenda, and my private agenda is in sync. So I only have one agenda to manage, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's also how we steer our teams. If somebody needs to go to the dentist during the working hours, they don't need to take a whole full day of holiday. If they are open and transparent about it, and they say, hey, Lies, sorry, but my only appointment I could fix with the dentist is at 1:00 in the afternoon. Then because our relationship is built upon trust, then I know that person will catch up that time later on, because we are managing or coaching our people towards responsibility and ownership and accountability, not on counting the hours. And I think it's just a general mindset and a general belief that it helps to get the best results, actually, because people are engaged.
I don't think it already counts for all companies, that they are that flexible towards their employees and their schedules. So it's nice to hear that within your company that, they have the flexibility to also plan this personal aspect in their work schedules when needed.
I think it's also because of COVID that it is
that
now more accepted, because during COVID everybody
course.
was working at home, so if you had to go to the dentist it was anyway, or we couldn't go to the dentist with COVID, I think.
Because we weren't allowed to.
But anyway, I think COVID indeed changed a lot in the trust. But I can imagine, because working for a Swedish company where the culture is, they're quite ahead and quite progressive in these things, and maybe also because you're a women managing director. As a woman, you're more open for these kind of things towards the team.
Yeah, it's true.
I always say that I'm hard with a D when it comes to objectives and results and performance, and hard with a T. Especially in Dutch, it works. Of course, I know that the writing is different in English, but it's also hard. Like really, your heart is that you also coach and steer, in a more emotional, in a more caregiving way than maybe what has been used as a leadership style in the past.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. Okay. So,
tools. Sorry, I realized that I didn't really answer the question of specific tools. For me, the tools are just an enabler. For me, it's really okay, knowing what we're heading towards, knowing what the goals are, and then the agenda to plan accordingly my priorities.
No, but I think simply making a list sometimes at the beginning of the day with all the to-dos and then being able to prioritize them can be already quite helpful for people where there's always chaos. So I think that's already quite a helpful tip to some people in our community.
Yeah, especially if you have so many children, they all have their activities also. And
exactly.
Like if you have teenagers, I have also teenagers. Are they staying at home for dinner or not? In the weekend, these kind of things. You really have to be flexible in these things because they have.
Yeah, but that's true. But I think it also comes to have clear alignments. So that I can manage my expectations and he or she can manage her or his expectations. So you just have a good agreement and alignment on it, both in the professional world as in the family life. I think it clearly helps, because then you avoid conflicts or you avoid misunderstandings or disappointments.
That's true. Yeah. So one question, about the Belgians, because this podcast goes about differences in cultures, and sometimes there are some misconceptions about typical things for Belgium, like there is this cliche that we are rather more closed off and hard to connect in a deeper level. Belgians are more modest and more closed. Do you experience that also in your company, and compare maybe with the Swedish colleagues?
I think indeed the saying is like the more north you go, the more people are on their own, and the more south you go, the more easygoing people are. I think it truly depends on yourself. So yes, there is a cultural aspect, but when I think of my relations and my connections I have, for example, with HQ, with my headquarters, they are all truly warm and open-minded people. So it really depends, I think, how you act as an individual and how much time do you also invest to build that relationship. For example, I think Belgians are often pretending, like, or we are a bit superficial, like when you arrive in the office in the morning and you say, "Hey, Lies, how are you doing?" Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But you will never say when it's not the case. And then I just ask, why? Why not showing your vulnerability? Why not showing or telling that person, well, actually, no, it's not okay today because I have had this topic, or my father is ill, or my son broke his leg, or whatever. So I think it's important to cultivate also a culture that is open-minded, and that comes by leading the example, by leading the way. If I position myself, in a vulnerable way, between brackets, in an authentic way, and they see that I'm not perfect, people tend to copy as well the behavior of their boss. So if you show to them that it's okay, that you don't need to be perfect, that you don't need to pretend that everything is under control, then people will become automatically way more open. And by the way, if everything is under control, then probably you're just not fast enough. That's my mantra as well at Polestar. Yes, we are still a startup / a scale up. Sometimes it's organized chaos. And I said, yeah, but that's good, because
We
then
know
it
that,
means
right?
that we're tiny.
Something typical
that
KAAI. We
that
know
we are
so.
challenging ourselves. If everything is under control, then you're just not fast enough.
It's true.
It's
It's true.
dangerous.
It's right. That's, we can say at KAAI the same.
Yeah.
And it makes me remind, because I once did a masterclass in Stockholm, and about also cultural and how to another kind of leadership in the digital age. And I remember the first thing we did was we had to check in psychologically. So we were standing in the circle, and everybody had to say how they were feeling. And every morning we started like that, because it was an overwhelming masterclass. And sometimes the second day you were thinking, oh God, what is coming up with this digital? And we really had to express ourselves, how we were feeling, not only about what we were thinking, but also feeling. And somebody said, yeah, I have a headache. Okay, then we know she has a headache. So we know we have. And I really learned about that afterwards, when we were again in the company, that when we started the meeting in Belgium, it was the first thing I did. So I said, how do you feel? Everybody was looking like, it was very strange for Belgium. What is she asking? But when you trained it, it was like a habit to really...
I still think we have a long way to go for that to become very common throughout all organizations, to be able to just throw your feelings on the table. But well, at least we're on the good way, I guess.
Yeah, of course, in when you're in a big group, of course, that's raising the barrier, let's say. But for example, I organize, and okay, we are around 50 people, and so we are not that many, but I organize, I spend time, to at least have 2 coffee moments per week with an employee. And everybody, with everybody. It's not with my managers, but it's with every employee, just to have that connection and to have that, quality time, to really ask them, how are you really, really doing? Not in a superficial way, but with a nice cup of coffee, taking half an hour the time to see, okay, how are you feeling at work? Is there anything you're struggling with? Do you need any support from me in order to do your job better? Or is there something you would like to share with me? And at first people, they were like, oh my goodness,
oh no.
Is there something, aren't you happy? I said, no, I mean, it's just about really being interested truly in who you are. Not only talk about work, but just to get to know you a bit better. And also knowing how can we support you, and now they are used to it, and they aren't stressed or something. They also know that they don't need to prepare anything. So it's just a check-in, as you say. It's just a check-in to see, okay, how are you doing? Are you happy? Aren't you happy? Why is it? What can we do about it? And I think from what I hear is that they truly appreciate that time.
Yeah, great.
I think that's a great leadership skill to have, and to be so close to everyone who is working for you.
And a great tip to the community.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Lies, to finish off with, I would like to ask you one more question. What is the best advice that you could give to busy women around the world when it comes to organizing? Just one brief advice you would like to give them.
I would say 3 things. If I
also fine.
First, focus on your controllables.
Okay.
I say don't waste any time or energy on things that you cannot change, but focus on the things on which you can make a positive impact. So that's quite important. Secondly, put your energy and your time to the things that make you happy. Because it helps you again to say no to things that aren't worthwhile to spend your time and energy on it. So do what makes you happy. And 3, delegate. Dare to ask for support. We are not a kind of superpowers or superheroes. We're just human, and it's perfectly fine not to be perfect. So dare to ask for help.
Well, Lies, thank you so much for these 3 last
You're more than
great
welcome.
tips. And thank you so much for all the insights that you shared with us today here in the podcast.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And I will remember the word life balance, really good.
Yeah.
And investing in the others to get your balance in life and to get quality time, really. And the last tips also very good. So I'm sure a lot of KAAI women would like to listen to this podcast.
I think
with you.
So too.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you so much,
for your time.
Lies. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you.